Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julia Seni, and I'm Associate Partner and Global Head of Mobility at Frost & Sullivan. I've worked in the automotive industry for close to 20 years and have been invited to moderate today's panel. As such, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our discussion on the future of talent in the automotive industry. I'm joined by a panel of experts. We'll be spending the next hour or so debating some of the key trends that are disrupting the automotive industry and how these are influencing our talent strategies worldwide. So as we all know, over the past decade, the automotive industry has been disrupted by technology-driven changes that had an effect on both the vehicle itself, so think about electrification, connectivity, autonomous, on the way we do business, and yes, on the enterprise itself, with companies focusing more and more on the digital customer experience and the digital company to deliver such experiences. And obviously, I have not even mentioned COVID as a disruptor. So basically, the automotive industry has been thrown, like many other industries, into the new normal with absolutely no pre-existing templates on how to engage with such changes. And today we want to discuss how these forces of change have shaped global talent management strategies and what to expect in the future in terms of talent acquisition, talent retention, and upskilling. So without further ado, please let me introduce you to our panelists, starting with Alain Dehaze, CEO of the Adecco Group. Alain joined the Adecco Group in 2009 as Regional Head of Northern Europe and is Chief Executive Officer since 2015. Alain is member of the newly formed International Labour Organization and the Global Commission on the Future of Work. Let me also welcome Dr. Martin Rabe, Chief Human Resources Officer at MAN Truck & Bus. Martin has been with MAN since 2012 and took on the position of CHRO last July. Alain and Martin are joined by Mr. Franck Vernon, Group Workforce and Labor Relations Director at Stellantis. Franck is responsible for driving transformation in Stellantis whilst attracting and retaining talent to ensure social and economic performance of the corporation. Last but not least, Dr. Jan Gupta, President of Modis. Modis is part of the Adecco Group and a global leader in tech consulting and tech talent services. Jan has been in the technology industry for more than 20 years and was appointed President of Modis in 2019. Now, very quickly before we start our panel, I want to invite all of you to join us in questions and comments. So please go on slido.com, enter the code Future of Auto, and just type your questions. I will try and pick up as many as possible at the end of the panel debate. Now, turning to Alain. Alain, member of the Global Commission on the Future of Work, you have a 360-degree unique overview of the dynamics that shape our global workforce. So what are, to your opinion, the most impactful megatrends that will inform and transform the future of our workplace?
Thank you for your question, Julia, and also welcome to everybody on this webinar. I've heard that we had more than 800 participants, so great that there is such an interest, and also thank you for all the guests of this webinar. Now, looking at the mega trends, I would like today to focus on three. The first one is what we call the VUCA world, and we are all today living in a very volatile, very unpredictable, complex and ambiguous world. And especially the last 16 months, we have all seen that, how volatile it can be in this world. And it means that this volatility and unpredictability is requesting more and more flexibility, and especially from our customers. I'm sure we'll come back to that also in the automotive sectors. The second mega trend is what we call digitization. Digitization is a big word for robotization, automation, and we see that especially the COVID-19 has accelerated all of this. And with the digitization, we come to upskilling, reskilling, because new talents are in need. And there also, we see that because of this digitization, more than 1 billion people will need to be upskilled and reskilled in the next decade. And then the third mega trends I would like to focus today is about sustainability. And we have been all very preoccupied, focused on the COVID, but we see that sustainability is here to stay. And you have probably, like me, heard about the net zero, the CO2 reduction. And again, this is something very important for the automotive sector. But all these three trends, VUCA words, digitization and sustainability, have been accelerated by the COVID-19, Julia.
Thank you. So clearly there is a role to play for somebody like Adecco. So can you just share with me, what is the Adecco Group actually doing to help companies through this radical transformation that we're all going through?
So we are one of the biggest, or we are the market leader in career, what we call career transition with LHH. We help every day or every year 400,000 people to find another job. We are the global leader with General Assembly regarding upskilling and reskilling. But as we have today many people, or the vast majority people, interested in the automotive sectors, what we have done for the automotive sectors is that we have designed a solution end-to-end for the automotive sectors, starting from the assessment of the skills, going to upskilling and reskilling in various capabilities, because we know, because of the electrifications, there is a huge need, for example, of system engineer. And thanks to Modis, I'm sure that Jan will talk about that, we are able to reskill people from the auto industry in a system engineer role in 3 to 6 months. And then we are able to support our customers in internal mobility, but also external mobility, because of all 100,000 customers we have in the world, and in every country, we can find a kind of bridge between existing role to another industry and another role. So we are really a transformation partner in this huge movement we are seeing today.
Thank you. Thank you, Len. So Martin, obviously you're on the other side of the fence at MAN. So we heard automation, digitization, flexibility, sustainability, how the global workforce is changing. So automotive is impacted. It's one of the most impacted sectors. What do you see are being the biggest disrupting factors that you see that will really change the way you do business in the future?
Julia, thanks for the question. And first of all, a warmly welcome to everybody in this round. So if we go on the traditional manufacturers, like, for example, MAN is, you see that our business model is turning tremendously into something different and something new. We come from the traditional manufacturing process and will be a smart transport solution provider. So we think completely new, and this in a very short time, because the CO2 emission level and the decrease of 55% until 2030, this is clear, and time is of essence. So there is the change which is coming very fast, and this means our daily kind of work will change. So we need an absolutely new approach, and then it's a holistic approach on the bundle. And transport as a service will increase significantly, as well as the digital solution we offer will be of a very high impact, because if you want to ship the freight from A to B, it's a question, how do you rate it, how do you tag it, and how is it the most cleverest way to bring it from A to B. So the intelligent partnership is there for us as a traditional manufacturer up to the most important point, because we can't do everything, and a partnership is the key for future of success in our business.
Thanks. So Frank, you are as well in the industry, actually seeking also advice. So some of the buzzwords, again, it was sustainability, net to zero, new approaches. How are you at Stellantis actually approaching these disruptions?
So just, I like before, because it's an open discussion, I like before just to come back about the digital part. It's right, I'm exactly in the same page and Martin, that we change in our traditional industry, if I can say like this, it changed definitely the classic job, if I can say, the classic area. Then for example, for manufacturing, supply chain, engineering. But I see also, since we see with some acceleration with the COVID, definitely, on some area about the customer behavior. Let me just illustrate and give you an example, and especially about the sales. You see that definitely we change, because historically the people, when you want to buy a car, you go to the dealer shop, you see the car, even if you are lucky, you test the car. But now at home, you just take this thing, your iPhone, and you can test this. So you can imagine how we change the skills, the need of the profile. And of course, for that, my main issue to tackle it's to have the speed and to switch very quickly and to find the right skill. And the introduction about the reskilling of the skilling, it's a key point, definitely. And the second key point is definitely to anticipate what kind of need, because we want to be a front runner. We want to propose to our clients something really relevant. So I think it's really important there also to think that the change about digital, it's internally, but it's also externally.
Yes, it's the customer centricity, I think, that we managed to address earlier. How companies actually have to change to adapt to e-retailing, to the future of automotive retailing, and everything fueled through digitization and embraced by COVID. So Jan, digital transformation, you are supporting companies throughout this transition every day. What are the skills that are most in demand, as also mentioned by Frank?
Yeah, you know, Julia, when I studied engineering many years ago, a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, and an IT programmer were three totally different students with completely different skill set. I think this time is over. An engineer of today must understand all three skill sets, and more important, he or she has to understand how to combine all these three skill sets in a product or process. Of course, our clients in the automotive industry ask us today for specialists in the field of connected cars, autonomous driving level 3, level 5, driver assistance systems, user experience, cloud, or power management specialists. That's clear. But at the end, deep knowledge of data analytics, artificial intelligence, sensoric is key for a connected car of tomorrow. And the development and the production process have changed too, not only the products. A product engineer who has developed a combustion engine for decades will have difficulties to understand the key design principles, the technologies, and the different developing process of a modern e-axle if he is not upskilled. We at Modis will upskill them in our Modis Academy. And there's another element where the customers are asking us for. In addition to this technology skill set, diversity is not just a buzzword in the tech world of tomorrow. Or let me say it in a different way. The time of automotive development centers full of male mechanical engineers in the mid of their 40s is over. So at the end, our clients look for diverse talents who understand the merger of engineering and IT skills. We call it at Modis smart industry.
So we're talking about different skill sets, we're talking about upskilling, but overall, I think you addressed it also quite well, that there's a tremendous skill gap in the automotive industry. I work a lot in the aftermarket, and it's even worse there, and yeah, could go on for quite some time. But if I think skill gap, Alain, again, you have a bigger view. How do actually governments and companies or private entities tackle or potentially work together to help us fill this skill gap?
It's a big question for which also I could talk 2 hours. But what we say and what we promote is what we call a tripartite solution, and especially in the automotive industry, because potentially this transformation will impact 7 to 8 million people in the world. So it's a huge transformation. And when we speak about a tripartite solution, we mean that it is about first the employer to make sure that that it has the right skills, and so it means to upskill, reskill people along the line that what Jan, but also Frank and Martin have said. How do you transform them into these smart industries? And we are there here to help. But so the employers need to have a plan, need to have an action plan, and I'm sure that Martin and Frank can elaborate on that. Second, it's also about the individual. So people in this industry should realize that they have to upskill and reskill themselves if they want to remain attractive and employable in this industry. And third, it is also about government. And so that's why our group is also in contact with governments, because government needs to assure a fluid transformation of their industry, being the French government with Frank or Martin. But we see that it is important that this transformation, this upskilling and reskilling is facilitated by government. And fortunately, we see countries being really aware of that and supporting this transformation. We have concrete case. We are currently in one of the projects in Germany. We are helping one company to upskill and reskill 30,000 people, 30,000 people towards e-mobility and the skills needed in e-mobility. And why are we successful? Because it has been a tripartite solution. The employers, the employees, we have been there to help, but also the German government is there to help.
Yeah, and probably a big theme, time allowing, is I think also the work that the government should do in promoting apprenticeship and how somebody like Adecco can actually help in driving these apprenticeship. But you were saying employers need an action plan, and there's also a responsibility. And I had a discussion earlier today with Frank about corporate social responsibility, which at Stellantis is a core topic. So looking at my notes, and Frank was saying to me, corporate social responsibility is driving transformation at Stellantis. What is behind it?
So about the social responsibility, I think we are several pillars. So we think, and we are so convinced that we have only one way to tackle and to be competitive. It's to be sustainable, definitely. We want to be green, we want to be competitor, and definitely we want to offer to our client something really relevant to reach their expectation. But just to give you a view on, just to jump what just pointed out Alain, I think it's really important for me. One thing, it's to make this switch also on the top, to anticipate the need. Because of course we need to make this bridge, and we know as employer and as a management, we know very well, and we have the tools with your help, of course, very often to reskill, upskill people. But nevertheless, it's also very important to have this intention. Let me just give you an example we discussed earlier, Julia. It's previously we were in former PSA, let's say, because now we are merged in Stellantis, but we were the championships in the diesel. And now the diesel is over. And we switch definitely in the electric mode, in the electric engine. But I have, of course, some strong, nice, and very performance engineers. And I need to make this bridge because I want to keep these people. So if I can say about the business model to reach the skills I need, I see me 3 pillars The first one is to say, okay, let's use first the internal resources and to reskill, upskill them. We need also to attract people and to catch up the external market, the critical skills, the strategic skills we don't have inside. On the third pillar, on there, again, it's also a little bit disruptive, is that we are going to try to reach and to catch these skills, definitely with a new business model, to make some JV with some startup, and to check on each other. So I think these three pillars is important. And after, I like to come back about also the behavior internally. Let me example. You know that we decided in PSR, on in the classic traditional industry, maybe it's a little bit strange. We did with the leadership of our HR director Xavier Chéreau, we decided to implement a remote work at 70%. So of course, also there, it's also a way to train our employee and to jump to the new world, a digital one, and to be as our customer and to be like our client. And I think it's the full overview, not only to focus on the training, but also to provide a context, a general context, to upskill our people and to give the behavior to tackle the business.
I hope on the remote work you implement Zoom-free Friday afternoons, right?
Yeah.
So, Martin, completely different question. You took on the role as Chief Human Resources Officer. I read in the bio, July of last year. Perfect timing, really easy. So what are actually the initiatives that you are driving within MAN as in your new role, and which of these are actually particularly close to your heart?
Well, I got in the responsibility in the middle of the last year in a very, very different role of MAN. I think you have seen it in the press that MAN has a long tradition and a company which has to define its new way. And under the very good hand of our CEO, Dr. Andreas Tostmann, we drive out a new strategy. We said we need a robust company, and for that we set up a lot of initiatives, how we can make our company as robust as it should be to have the investments for the future technologies. Then we said a second pillar is a smart innovator. Of course, if you look in the future, then you need to provide the right transport solutions and not just the steel and the rubber. And for the third, we said we need a strong team, and a strong team is my responsibility. And a strong team, as it says, it's the team is not together. Each one achieves more, just to say so. It's really a belief. And if you ask me, well, in MAN, the most important task we have to do is to steer this transformation. And steering this transformation is not only just to look in automatization, for example, or say we just look in the areas of digitalization, or we just take the electrification. It's the whole company. It's every part, every detail, everything. Every seller is moving. And so we have to transform the company as well as our HR as a driver of this transformation as well. So this is, from my point of view, one of the major issues we have, and this is something which I'm driving very far, and this is my responsibility. Nevertheless, as a cornerstone of that, to become a strong team, I think the diverse factor in the company is absolutely crucial. So this is something where I'm absolutely fond of, that MAN is, even as a traditional company, where you say it's a lot of engineers, less female workforce, we work very intensely of getting diverse teams, and to be off the silo and on the same stage, to be as a strong team, work on that. There are nearly, I think, 25, 30 initiatives working on that, but this is the main issue. We need to set up a strong team, to set up a diverse team, which is able to run this transformation. But if you look in the past of MAN, our most valuable DNA is that we always let technological changes And this is where we build up the company furthermore to lead these technological changes, because they are coming very, very soon. And I know that I said a lot of words, but at the end of the day, it's a strong team, and strong team means that you have the commitment, that you have a diverse team, that you understand what you do, what do you contribute, what is the aim for, and that you just say, okay, I'm ready to change and not afraid of the change. And right now we are exactly in that transition phase. We are on the one side reducing workforce, and on the other side, just straightening up the company for the future technology. So this is really a task for everybody here. And well, this does just work together. This just works with, we have the board members who can run it, and the team of Dr. Tostmann and all my colleagues are very capable on that. You need a work council who's contributing, saying, yes, this is the way forward. I see it, I understand it, and I contribute. This is good for the company. And you need the understanding of everybody in the company to say, yes, this is right. So this is a process which is not occurring overnight. This is something we work for, and this is what we're doing by a strong team.
Thank you. I think, Martin, that was very insightful. Again, you did not take this role in a very easy time of our life. So technological change, that's something that you mentioned a couple of times, and we have actually Jan, who has a strong background in technological changes, in advanced technology, and has worked a lot with electric vehicles, Formula E, and of recent, really, Modis became the official engineering partner of the Mercedes EQ Formula team. And I would like to understand a little bit closer, because you used the word partnership when we discussed. What is it you mean with partnership when you work with Mercedes on the Formula E team?
Yeah, thank you, Julia. I think first of all, of course, we want to win the championship. But no, seriously, as official engineering partner of the Mercedes Formula E team, we have different targets. We want to show on one side the new generation of tech talents around the globe, how innovative the new automotive industry is, and that it is a great industry to work for. I think that's point one. Of course, we want to attract tech talents around the globe to join us on our way into this smart, new automotive world. So we will launch, for example, a worldwide global campaign to find the most advanced young tech talents on the globe to work with us and the racing team for one series and to be the shadow of the team principal. I think a lot of tech talents around the globe will be motivated and to join the automotive industry and this challenge. But we also want to be, we talked about sustainability. We also want to be part and add value to a carbon neutral future. We all have kids, so I think it's a must to push that. Not only by just joining a carbon neutral race series, but also to use this platform to improve the existing technology. So what do I mean? And you will be astonished, I'm coming back to exactly the same answer. Aerodynamics or design of an e-axle is important in a racing car. But at the end, it's the right battery management or the right brake management which will make the difference. That means the control and the precision usage of the limited energy during a race or on the street in our own cars is the way to win. And once more, it's all about data analytics and the usage of artificial intelligence, which will make the difference. And this is where we will work together with Mercedes. It's not about just a bigger battery, but the difference will make a smarter battery, for example. And we want young talents to join our data analytic and AI specialists from Modis and from Mercedes to open a new chapter in the automotive industry. So we want to engineer together with them and the racing team a great car and a smarter future. But as I said from the very beginning, at the end, we want to win.
Fair enough. So, Frank, what is your opinion about about the technology impact that Jan was just mentioning, and obviously it can be seen as a challenge or as an opportunity. How do you see it at Stellantis? Challenge or opportunity?
So first of all, I'm exactly in the same page than Jan. I want to win as well. It's a good starting point, I think.
So let's win together.
I hope you are going to congratulate me as you did for Jan. So, of course, you know that. Okay, the changes, it must be tackled as an opportunity all the time, I think. Because we know that we are going to have some changes, the disruptive one, as you introduced, definitely. And my job is really to involve all the employees, included the unions, if I can say like that, the employee representative, like this. So definitely, we decided in Stellantis to say, okay, we are totally change the let's say the business model, because in our traditional sector, normally we make a car with a steel. Now what I need to provide to my clients is not only this car, it's let's say a device, if I can say like that. It's something, because we know that tomorrow, what is most important even than digital? It's that my clients, the driver, want to have the same thing than he are going to find with Google in his smartphone. I think it's the same. And it's a big challenge. It's a big one. But I need to explain to everybody, I need to involve everybody to say, okay, we are going to face this. It's a nice challenge. Let's take it like that. And let's build the path. And let's be competitor. And let's be the first one, even the first runner before Jan, if I may.
Okay.
We can win together.
I think we start a game with Jan. So let's see the winner at the end.
Martin, I saw you smiling throughout. So, what is the take of MAN when we look at challenges or opportunities that we're facing right now? Is it more challenges, more opportunities?
Well, Julia, first of all, I think the formulation challenge or opportunity is a positive way. And this is the question I absolutely appreciate. It's a positive attitude. I think if you look in the future, it's as well as a challenge as an opportunity the same. Because today you can't say whether it will be diesel or it will be battery or it will be ICE, it will be CO2, it will be H2. You can't say today when will happen what. You just know it will come. You know that electricity will come. You know that there are departments and where you say, okay, for this part of segment, diesel engine will run a longer time and for that a shorter time. You know that in different areas, a battery electric driven engine will be at best and a main solution. And then you see some parts where you say, okay, you need H2. So for our business, this is completely different, for example, what you know from the car business, because our customers do earn their money with their commercial vehicle right now. And this segment will change in over the next 10 years tremendously. So we can't say it's right now what will be the future business model in detail. We just know trends. And the trends will be, there will be diesel in some areas. There will be battery enhanced vehicles in a lot of areas. There will be H2 in some areas. And then you look at the different countries and see, okay, Europe is completely different, for example, to China, to North America, to Australia. So it's really for our branch, for our business, we have, compared to cars, for example, a very small number of vehicles we produce and a lot of money to invest to get these technologies. This is the a very, very different role than from a car, from a passenger car's perspective. And this is the reason why I say this is a challenge, because you need to think in the future and say which is the right sizing and the right investment, as well as an opportunity, because if you are the first in, then you have the advantage. And due to the fact that time is running and we are really, really, really in a changing time and transformation, for our company, for example, this is the reason why we do electric vehicles, we do H2, and we have the right diesel engines. So we are prepared for everything which is coming, and are sizing now, of course, as a member of the TRATON Group. We have Scania, we have MAN, we have VW Comeo Omnibus, and sometimes soon there is Navistar in North America coming. So as a company, we are so established that we can find the right solutions for every branch, and that we are aiming for and striving for. Matthias Grundler, our CEO in TRATON, is very keen on that. And for example, maybe you have read the last excerpt of Dr. Andreas Kammel. He's really brilliant, and it's interesting to see how differently the approach on alternative energy and on alternative drives is from a commercial vehicle perspective, that what everybody is thinking. So I do really appreciate that you just take the time and Google Andreas Kammel from the TRATON Group and see what's his media release on that. It's really, really, really eye-opening, because it's completely different to what most of the people think.
Perfect, I'll do that. So again, diversification. So Alain, you've been cut short a little bit here today on comments, but you, after all, are our host. So before I open the floor to a lot of questions that are actually coming in from outside, Alain, what is the one advice that you would give to manufacturers, to the OEMs, to the industry, in terms of getting ready for the future and fit for the future?
I think have a strategy and have a plan, because we have seen many companies, and for sure you have here the best in class in front of you with Stellantis, with TRATON, MAN, and the Volkswagen Group. But don't forget, you have also suppliers, tier 1, tier 2, and so on. And this transformation will have impact on everybody, whatever the layer in the ecosystem. And so the recommendation I give is have a strategy and have a plan, because many of them don't, and you are never successful when you don't know where you have to go. So start with that, and there are many people to help about that regarding the skills, the reskilling, the upskilling. We are happy to contribute, but start by having a strategy and a plan.
Perfect.
Julia, as it's an open discussion, can I ask a question to Alain?
With pleasure.
Before we open the with pleasure. Thanks. I like just to understand, what do you mean by to have a strategy on your point of view? Because I understand the plan, but what is behind the 3 or 4 more items we must to tackle over this strategy?
So, according to my view, what the automotive industry is facing is an end-to-end transformation. And they are part of the transformation we have still not yet discussed today. But it starts, related to the VUCA word, it starts with the decoupling. And decoupling between the different parts of the words has impact on the supply chain. So it means that many manufacturers are revisiting the way they procure. They are revisiting their supply chain because they want to decouple and have different opportunities. Then it continues with the model. It continues, you mentioned it, electrified vehicles, but also hydrogen and so on. And then we continue. Like everybody, I read the newspaper this morning and I saw that Stellantis was, in a way, going directly to the customer. So what you see through digitalization is what we call disintermediation. So it means that the manufacturing is going directly to the consumer. A lot of impact regarding selling, marketing, you have elaborated. Again, new skills and capabilities. And then it goes further. You see some manufacturer entering in the field of mobility as a service. mobility as a service means another industry. How do you manage cars? How do you manage this service and so on? So you see the change of the chain of change that this industry is facing is huge. And for each of these transformation, it requests new skills, new capabilities. I think one of the biggest player in the world in electrified vehicle has 15,000 coders, 15,000 coders. Because like Jan was mentioning, this is becoming a computer on wheels. And so for everyone involved in this new chain of mobility, it means that you will require new capabilities, new skills. Are you aware what kind of skills you need, in which quantity, and by when? Because change is going extremely fast. And I speak about 18 to maximum 36 months because change is very fast. And many people don't know exactly, okay, what kind of skills do I need, in which quantity, by when, and where? And that's what I mean with strategy and a clear action plan.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure, of course. But nevertheless, I like to just add something because Julia, you asked opportunity and challenge. I have one challenge, really, it's the speed of the change. On the top of the strategy you pointed out, on the top of that, really one of the challenge to upskill, reskill, assess the need, it's the speed. Everything go very fast. I'm thinking through the digitization, but also about the customer expectations. So this thing is something not so easy to tackle, really. Because especially, I don't know if Martin has the same feelings as me, but even if we are really agile, even if we move very fast in Stellantis, we are still some portion of the company at the traditional one, if I can say like that.
Frank, if I may, and then perhaps I will leave the floor to Martin. I think there is a double challenge. There is the challenge of the speed, and there is the challenge of the mass. Because when I'm telling you, and probably the challenge of the speed is linked to the challenge of the mass. Because, you know, when we have to reskill 30,000 people in a minimum period of time, it's huge. It's huge. And normally, a company is not today equipped to do such a transformation. So that's why you need to partner, you need to find an ecosystem and partners to get there in mass very fast. And that's the real challenge, because on the other side, you have this new competition coming in. They are starting from a white page and they are going extremely fast. Martin, I leave the floor to you.
Thank you, Len. You said a lot of very important things. From my point of view, this is the question of speed is as you described, as well as the question of mass. I think there is a layer more from my perspective in my area, because we have, for example, in MAN, you have a mentality, you have a DNA of the company, you have a different setup of the workforce, what they think, how they change, what they expect. What's the time they stay on a position, how often you change, what the fluctuation of your company is. And that as one layer, and as additional layer, you have, for example, something like not just the management, who's capable or not capable, or transforming or not transforming, and the employers working on this transformation or not. You have as well political issues, for example, the work councils, the trade unions, who say we support it or we do not support it. And if you, for example, have a highly regulated area, this is completely different to a completely free area. So this has everything, it has its pros and its cons, but it's completely different. For example, if you want to run a transformation in, for example, an American company or in a traditional car manufacturer or steel producer or steel manufacturing company, so-called IG Metall area, for example, in Germany. And I think this is something which is absolutely important, that if you want, for example, to transform a company in Germany in a traditional sector, it needs a lot of knowledge to handle it. You need the capabilities, you need a plan, you need how to handle all the stakeholders, to handle the politics, because they are pretty important. And then you need the system who's enabling it, and this has to work consistently. So there's the matching. Just if everybody is agreeing and saying, yes, we want to transform, for example, but you are not capable to run it because your HR organization, for example, is not trained for that, or you do not have the software or the skills to use the software on that, then you have a tremendous problem. And in our branch, for example, you had some changes, yes, but never these changes like in the last 1.5 years. And what's coming from now on will be much faster than it has been in the last month. Due to Corona, for example, this was just a starting point for the change. And we know it's running, but we realize now how the speed is increasing. So this is just additional as the very valid points Alain said, as to mention it from my side.
Let me chip in, Julia.
Yeah, exactly.
as first of all, Frank, we will support also you to make Stellantis win, of course. No question here. No, but
yeah.
No, but not joking. I think we all know that the demands will change. In the past, it was a speed of the car, a design of the car. Today, it's user experience. It's user experience it's all about. And we know that this change will come. We know also that the talents in the market, there is a lack of talents. We cannot change that. The lack of talents is there. So we have to analyze our current skill set, and we have to start to reskill and to train our people, because the capacity of engineers who can develop new cars with a focus on user experience and so on, you will not find them on the market. You will not find enough. So we have to really reskill. We have to accelerate that. So Frank, that's the point to speed. We have to speed up here.
Which actually brings me to the first question, the highest rated question from the audience. So we've been sort of all touching upon the fact that we need to develop new skills, but the highly rated question is, what are actually the jobs, or specifically the skills that you see most in the rise in the next 5 to 10 years? So Jan, you mentioned user experience. Let's be concrete for the young people who are out there as well. What should they do? Where should they go? What university can teach them? Not easy.
I would say if you are in a university, try not to do just mechanical engineering, do some courses in IT, do some courses in electronics. That's my first point. And then try to go in a company which has the digitalization as a key topic, get some additional training in AI. It's crucial. You have to understand AI if you want to be successful as an engineer in the future. You have to understand what is data analytics about. So I would really create a portfolio of skill set if I would be a young man, and then to jump in the automotive industry, because the need is there. You need the whole spectrum of skill set in future.
Well, one of the questions is actually from a young woman. So as a female mechanical engineer, what advice do you have for me to ensure I have a job in the next 5 to 10 years, Jan?
You will have. No,
just send me your invitation.
No, you will have.
Perfect. So another question, how are you sourcing talent for the future? How do you actually really find the talent that you need? Martin.
Oh, this is the perfect question. Because if you look at the traditional HR way of working, then you have your assessing of the people, you have your HR maps and say, okay, who's doing what. That this is just a very little part of what we really need, the so-called skill captures. So the hidden talents, For example, I can do some programming, but I'm just sitting in a secretary because nobody asked me and I was never able to just present what I'm doing. This internal matching platform is something which is absolutely crucial for us in the first way. So if from HR perspective, we need to lift up and to make all the talents we have transparent. And this is really a task because you have a lot of regulations on that. This is data protection, etc. You need on that, as well as a complex software which is working on this, as well as the HR capabilities to steer it through. So these skill captures, for example, in your own company, who can do what talents. This is a real task, and this is absolutely valid. And going back to the first question, what do we need in the future as well? We need a lot of hybrids. So if you, for example, are in the production and you need the manufacturing and the screw driving, yes, this is a part of it. But then you, for example, need high voltage. This is completely different. Automatization, this is completely different. Or programming the software, because it's there and you need to adapt it. This is different in this area completely that it is today, and it's pretty soon coming. And if you look, for example, in the indirect areas, well, this is the engineering part is some, and I think everything is set. But for example, for procurement and for HR analytics, how can we think in the future? How do we make strategic workforce planning? How can we bring the talents in? How do we make the right concepts with universities to train our employees? This is the task where HR is running, and a lot of initiatives I was calling as a strong team surround for in my introduction some time ago. These are initiatives we are fostering because they are absolutely important, absolutely. And if you are able to bring up all the talents you have in the company and establish a diverse teams, then it works. But you need to make it transparent. This is the main task for HR in these times, and it's really tricky. It's not so easy. I think Jan can state the same.
Frank.
I don't want to take over. I think one key topic we have to be aware that the new generation of techies don't want to work all the life in one company like in the past. They will not stay 40 years in the same company. They have a totally different mindset. They want to have an impact. They are focused on projects. And we have to take that into account when we recruit people, how we recruit people. So it's another generation which has a totally different, it has different targets, different mindset. They want to have an impact on the industry. They want to show a change. And we have to take that into account in our recruitment process too.
I think if I can add something, sorry to interrupt you, Yula, but something for me definitely changed also in the traditional industry we are. Before, we just wait to receive some CV, some resume on the, we assess it, and we hire people. Now I'm exactly in the same page as Jan to say, okay, for some software, for me, it's an elephant in the room. We have few talents. So we need definitely to change the way to make some search. And how proposal in Stellantis, it's linked what I introduced before with the new way of working with remotely. We are going to try to find the people where they are. To work in the remote work, like this, we are going to provide them the possibility not to move, but everywhere. You can work from home, like me today, for example. But I work with India, I work with United States. It's not an issue. I'm going to use your skills where you are. Like this, it's also a one way we find to tackle this lack of skills onto let's say get in some skills not possible to find just around the place in Paris.
Yeah, but Frank, one of the questions coming up here, interesting, is actually that technology is changing so rapidly, as you're saying, that university actually can't really keep up with it. So we require skill, there's a skill gap, but there's actually nobody who can sort of fill this skill gap. So what will be the key drivers, the question is, to ensure that these technology strategies are achieved by the educational board as well?
So Sorry. You're right. It's not so easy to find all the skills to tackle this technology. So we decided in Stellantis to apply, let's say, some job family with some experts who are going to have the right skills, who are going not to see and to learn inside, but also to learn outside, to upskill themselves, and after to spread or to train the people to show the way. So I think it's one way also to train internally the people through the expertise and through the main expert we have internally.
Alain,
if I might just contribute, I see it in our workforce. I think it's absolutely important that we as a company find, and we are working on this, and we do have some tasks to do, yes, but we also have some achievements. You need to find and define the future workforce, and then you train the people on especially what you need. In, for example, courses at the university, you say, I need a tailored part for procurement or a tailored part for engineering at MAN. And we just, we have to use this in our company more and more. Because if you, for example, work for Daimler as well as for UW or for Audi or for Porsche MAN, sometimes it's nearly the same task, but it's tailored for our business. And we have a real demand on that, and most of the universities in a traditional way have their training courses, and you make your degree, that's fine. But what we need and what we are working on is that you say, okay, it's a new way of education, it's a new way of traineeship for especially what we need, or this is on the one hand. Secondly, for example, as Gunnar Kilian with the 42 agency, where he said everybody who wants to be in a smart IT world can stay there, and we establish it. So it's there are two approaches we need, and they have to be disruptive. They have to change from the traditional way, and for that sometimes it needs a bit of power. Sometimes you need the money, and sometimes just to say yes, I want to do it. And this is the tricky part on that, but it's absolutely needed for our companies and for our business.
And we're back to the responsibility that actually the industry has in changing the skill gap that we have. Unfortunately, we are close to running out of time here, and maybe we can ask Alain for doing this again. But bearing in mind that there are about 3 minutes left, Alain, I would love you to summarize what has been discussed today. Obviously, we learned a lot, a thing or two here or there. So I would love you to summarize and then close our discussion for the evening.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you, Martin. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jan, for having been with us. And also thank you to all the participants of this webinar. I do hope that you have enjoyed like I have enjoyed. I do hope that you have learned as much as I have learned, because this industry is in end-to-end transformation. And on one hand, like Frank Bernard was mentioning, it is a huge challenge because of the speed, because of the mass, but it is a fascinating challenge, like Martin also was saying. And we are all here to make the future work for everyone, as you know. That's the purpose at the Adecco Group. And I do hope that by having spent this hour together, you have picked good ideas. You can send your CV to Martin, to Frank, or to Jan. If you are looking a job in the automotive industry, we will be very happy to support you, because that's the purpose also of this webinar. It's make the future work for everyone, thanks to this ecosystem with all customers and all different brands. And I wish you really a great success. And perhaps, Julia, that's a good idea that we repeat this exercise, as it was really fascinating to hear the experience of both Frank, Martin, and also the great input of Jan. So see you soon, and thank you for having been there. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.